We're live. Hello, welcome everybody. It's Live with Georgia, Saturday night, November 28th. Welcome. I welcome you here. We're doing live tarot readings for anybody who has a question. It's $10. In my description is other links to the payments. So if you wanted to get your cards read tonight, just have a look. PayPal at georgiamarantos@gmail and a link to my website where you could purchase a $10 one question tarot off my website. So that's pretty easy. Welcome. Tonight we're going to be discussing the Death card, which is fantastic. Why? Because the Death card, along with the Hanged Man, along with the Tower, and along with the Devil, are some of the most difficult cards. And we talked about the Hanged Man last week, and it's now time to talk about the Death card. And what does the Death card really mean? When you get a Death card popping up in your reading, does it mean that you're going to die or that somebody you know is going to die? No. Basically, it means that something energetically is changing. You're transforming. So it can represent a physical death, but usually you already know that that's actually happening. And yes, there are readers who can read and predict the future in terms of knowing when people die. And those are few and far between. So when you're going to have and do a tarot reading, you can expect that if the Death card pops up, that it's going to mean some kind of transformation and change. Hi, Jenny. Hello. Charlie. Hi. Thanks for coming on, ladies. So good to see you. Let me know if you have any questions. So far tonight, I've just been talking about the show. I do have some special announcements, and I've just sent out an email to let people know that on December 31st, which is New Year's Eve, and it's a Thursday, I'll be doing a very special private Zoom gathering, and it'll be a spirit seance. Because we had such a great time on Halloween, I thought that we would gather people who wanted to have a message, and that we would just make a small group so that, you know, everybody got a really good message from their loved ones or from spirit, or just the message that comes through. So we know that last time I had two special guests on, and they brought through amazing messages, and I just thought that it would be such a good idea to repeat it. And it really felt like everybody had a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to it. Jennifer, hello. Hi, love. I wanted everyone to know how amazing your class was, and I hope they do it when you next do it in March. Oh, Jennifer, thank you so much. Jennifer was one of the lucky 8 people, and it ended up being 8, Jennifer. There were so many swaps and changes. Some extra people added, came in, and then a couple of people left. But we had 8 people do the play shop in November, on November 14th, and it was so much fun. I really jam-packed a lot of information in. And I'll be doing it again in March. And there are a couple of people on the waiting list. It's $50 for the full day. And we end up doing a lot of practice. So we spend the morning and a little bit after lunch kind of reviewing and looking at the tarot and its structure and understanding its meaning. And I really rush through them because, as you can see, I'm doing 1 card per week. And when I learned to read the tarot, when I was learning about the tarot, we were doing just 1 or 2 major arcana every time we met. That was every week. And it was really a slow pace. And it really does pay you back when you spend more time with each of the cards. But the good news is that we've got all of the information collated. Hi, Kimberly. Hello. We have all of the information. Kimberly was also at the workshop, play shop. It was definitely, it was a little bit of work. People were really, it was a bit hard to keep up with all the information, but we got through it all, and it was really, really good. So much information. And it comes in a beautiful sort of PDF file that you receive afterward, and you can always keep that as your reference. It's like a little book, actually. And at some point, I'll be releasing that so that everybody who wants to get the information the way I see it and the way my teachers saw it, Josephine Farrell, I'll eventually be releasing that into the public. So meaning people who haven't done a course with me could purchase it and then use it to learn how to read the tarot cards. That's good news. All right. So tonight, I mentioned we're going to talk about the death card. I spoke about the spirit seance. It's coming up December 31st. Registration is open. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see my posts about it, and I'll be posting more about it. So it's a month away. We've got lots of time, but already we've got two seats already taken. So that leaves 8 people. So this is the spirit seance for on New Year's Eve, and it's limited to 10 people, and there are 8 spots left. So if you want to spend New Year's Eve with us and have a really wonderful experience, the tickets are only $10 and you're going to have a great time. So come on in. Now, if somebody has a question, if you've been off to pay, let me know. But if not, what I can do is I can just start to shuffle the cards, and if anybody has like a general question, like, you know, what's anything you can think of, I don't know. So maybe I can pick a card for the group tonight to see what the energy is going to be like. How does that sound? I'm just going to do that now. So I'm going to choose a card for tonight's show, right? Feels nice and quiet. We've actually been, my family and I are going to go out and buy our Christmas tree and decorate it. And the children have been so excited. They have just been talking, they've been talking nonstop about when can we get the Christmas tree. And I was on the computer all day kind of organizing this email and trying to set up my shop and, you know, the spirit seance and and then I was troubleshooting at the end. So the poor kids, you know, they've been waiting to buy their Christmas tree all day, but we're going to do it after the show, which is super exciting. So I have something to look forward to. What are you all doing this evening after the show? Let me know. I know that both Kimberly and Jennifer and Charlie, do you have a deck? I know that you read the card. So if you have your deck handy, let's all choose a card for the night and see what comes up. Well, I love this. I got the 3 of coins. For me, this is a collaboration. It can also be where you are sort of looking to, you know, contract some kind of work or to have somebody work for you or with you. But for me, the number 3 is always like working with other people and manifesting something really beautiful for God. And why? Oh, Jenny has a deck. Yay! Jenny, pull out your deck. I want to see what everybody has. Jen's not home. Oh, Jen. Thank you anyway for letting me know. And Jenny, pull your deck out. Let's see what you got. Let me know what deck it is so I can visualize, because I've seen a lot of them, not all of them. There's so many, and really there's just so many beautiful ones to buy. A lot of them are Rider-Waite-Smith. You know, a lot of them are based on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So the one that I have is the Smith-Waite Tarot deck, and any of the Rider-Waite-Smith decks are really good to start with because there's a very clear structure, and all of the pips, which are these ones, all of the suit cards are illustrated with people, and so you can sort of tell a story about them. Kimberly got the Strength card. All right, Kimberly, let us know what you're getting, what information you're getting about the Strength card. And Jenny, let us know what you pulled. So I feel like tonight's going to be collaborative, that we're really going to, and I feel this, I'm kind of feeling it already, that I want to draw you in and have everybody reading with me. And maybe, Jen, if you don't have your cards, you could, you know, let us know what you're receiving from the information when we're pulling them up. Shelley, hello. Welcome. Let me know if anybody's paid for a reading, and then we can just prioritize you. And at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm just pulling a card for the evening, and you know, we're learning a little bit along the way. So here is the 3 of coins, or the 3 of pentacles, and this comes after the 2 of pentacles, where you had somebody who was kind of a little unsteady on his feet. He might have been dancing a jig. He might have, you know, but he was right by the ocean and there was lots of activity. So the 2s are always about some kind of choice or indecision, or being in 2 minds, or having having two things that you need to choose between or juggle, right? And you're comparing. So there's the energy of the two is always about duality and about choice, and that kind of stretches into the three as well. So you have some choice here, and you can see these two are holding up either some kind of plans or some kind of fabric. They're holding up to the person who appears to be an artist or a mason, and he's working on the wall, and you can see there's this kind of hammer that he has here, or he's holding an instrument, and they're in conversation. And what you can see is that there's this beautiful sort of work being done on this building, that there's a lot of care, there's a beautiful flower, and you can see there's around this arch, and you assume it's made of wood, but we don't really know. There are the three pentacles, and it's really very beautiful, and the building is being adorned. So we're making something beautiful together. I really love that. We're making something beautiful for God or for the universe or for spirit, right? And when we do that, it's like we create, every moment we have the capacity to create something that's never been created before. And I feel that we're doing this here tonight. Oh, Shelley paid for a reading. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Shelley, we'll finish pulling these cards for the evening, and I'll jump straight in for you. And let me know if you have a specific question. Jenny says she pulled the Six of Pentacles. A man with scales giving coins to a man on his knees. Yes, we know that one really well. Let's see if I can find it. So what are you getting? What kind of information are you getting from that, Jenny? And let's see if we can tie that in together. Now, Kimberly and I was so just to backtrack a little. I have on my email, on my subscription emails, and I sent one out today. I have a special tarot Q&A section, and I ask my friends usually because not too many people are emailing me with any questions at the moment, but hopefully they will in the near future. But in the meantime, I asked my friend Kimberly to ask me a question to see, just to stimulate conversation around the tarot Q&A. And she had a really, really good question. And that question is, and I promised to talk about it today and tonight. So when you have two readers who are reading the one person, and they get two different cards and two different meanings, right? So you've got two, and actually you didn't really ask me what it is, what it was about that. So my assumption when I read your question, Kimberly, was that what do you do when two people are reading the one person, as we do here on the show, and the two people are getting a different take, or maybe even opposing views or opposing readings for the same person, right? So if someone asks a very specific question like, is this going to happen? And someone gets yes and the other person gets no, well, that's a problem, right? Because then the person who's listening is getting mixed messages. Now, if we were to trust that the person who is reading is getting information correctly and they're tapping into the information correctly, and I assume that we all are, everybody that's coming on here is really quite, connected intuitively, at least. I know most of you personally, which is amazing, and some people I'm meeting, for the first time. But you'd be attracted, like attracts like, and so we're all connecting with our intuition. And so the way that I think about it, Kimberly, is that if the messages coming from the external are saying both yes and no, then that gets fed back to the person who's asked the question. And they need to be very clear about whether or not yes and no are either canceling what it is that they're, what it is that they're asking, or whether they're not sure. So I would feed it back. So if two people who are quite intuitive are tapping into this person, they're reading a card each and they're getting something different for the person, then I would feed that back. I would follow the line back and have the person then say, well, how does this yes and no sound to you? Is there a yes and no? Because if we believe that we manifest the world with our thoughts and our actions, right? As the Buddha has said in the Dhammapada, if you read the book, the first page says we create the world with our thought. And if this person who's getting the reading has these two people and they're saying disparate things, then those two disparate thoughts exist in that person, right? And that's assuming, again, that we've cleared our auras and we've stepped to the side and we're allowing spirit to come through so that the information really is spirit directed, right? And we're not getting in the way. And I suppose maybe last week when we were doing that, I didn't really check, but I do trust, when we've been having other people choosing cards, I trust that we're connecting together, right? We're in here together. We've set the intention. We're all going to read together. And maybe what we can do next time is, if it happens again where one person is being read by two people, and sorry to keep going on about this, but I think it's a really good question. One person is being read by two people and there's opposing information coming through, then we, the readers, would go back into our sort of connect deeper, and then read again. And then the information, once we're absolutely sure, if it comes through again, then we feed it back to the person. I think that's how I would answer that question. And that's what I would literally do for myself. If I did two readings and I got completely opposing readings from the cards, I would come back into myself and why am I manifesting these two different kinds of readings? Does that make sense? So Jenny got the Six of Pentacles. And how is the Six of Pentacles related to the Three of Pentacles? Well, they're related because you've got three people in both. Now, I'm not sure which deck you're using, Jenny, but in the Six of Pentacles of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you have three people, right? So again, it's a collaboration. So let's have a look. I'm going to pull the card up. And if anyone else has it at home, Kimberly, if you have it at home, pull it out. Let's see if I can find it quickly. There it is. This is the Six of Coins, Six of Pentacles. And as you can see, there are three people. Now, the difference between the three and the six is that here you have a power differential. Right, you have one person standing up. He's clearly wealthy. These two on the ground who are kneeling before him appear to be dressed in sort of rags. You've got this kind of blanket or covering on this person that's been mended, and so they're asking for help or, begging for help, right? So they're so here you've got, whereas here everybody's on the same level, but I like to go to where there's a common ground. So where there's a common ground is the threes. What hits me is the fact that here are three and here are three. And three is manifestation. Three is collaboration. Three is bringing in sort of more information, more choices, and allowing, whatever's cooking to kind of get really juicy. Does that make sense? It's a mini deck. Great. It's exactly the same. Super. So that's how I would see it, Jenny. But what take did you get as you looked at it? So again, this is the card for the evening. And Kimberly got the Strength card. Sorry, I don't mean to be ignoring you, Kimberly. I'm going to pull the Strength card in a minute. How does the Strength card relate to all of this? And Kimberly, what do you think? Kimberly's an amazing, intuitive, very good tarot reader. I frequently tap her for readings. Here we go. And we swap all the time. So here is the Strength card. What is it about the Strength card? What can we tie in together? Well, this is what I would say, right? So you have a collaboration effort. The Strength card is all about going in and finding a way to, tame the wild beast, which is really the ego inside, and to allow spirit to come through. So in some ways, right, this creative energy comes through our divine channel, and we really have to tame this wild mind so that the information can come through clearly and effortlessly. And I always say a prayer. And I set an intention that when I do a reading, that I get out of the way and that the information comes through clearly and effortlessly, because I desire that for myself and for the person. And you see this infinity symbol, which is, not only as above, so below, as within, so without, but it includes absolutely everything. It's almost like the knowledge of the universe it comes through the crown chakra and through their success. So we know that we're going to have a successful time tonight. I don't know if I've lost Kimberly, but we're going to have a great time tonight, right? Through all the wreaths on the success card, we're going to tame our ego, and we're going to share and create, I think, a lot of fun and something beautiful. So Jennifer says, I'm getting that. And Kimberly, wonderful. Thanks, Kimberly. I'm getting that collaboration is the way forward, not just for us, but for all of humanity. Bye-bye competition, right? Hello, cooperation and collaboration and cooperation. Yeah. You know, this one definitely speaks to that sense of, you know, there being people who have more power, who have more money, and that is definitely changing. I mean, you're making references to what's happening, you know, in 2020 as we look forward to in this decade. You know, we really don't know what's going to happen and how it's going to unfold, how so many businesses have had to shut their doors. So what brings success? What brings success? Cooperation brings success, right? Generosity brings success. You know, benevolence and sharing. How about we share our wealth, right? And so this is the and Jennifer says, and this brings success when we collaborate. And it's also first connecting with our inherent power, right? Each of us, and then collaborating, right? So that's what the strength card speaks to. Yeah. This is our inherent power. This is our self-empowerment card. And the strength card comes after the chariot, where the college student has just gotten onto their chariot and has gone out. And Jenny says, right, as I was shuffling, I was worried not enough people would submit $10 for readings and the charity. Oh, Jenny, you are so sweet. Thank you so much. And then you pull this card, right? Will people give? This is literally the charity card. So that's very interesting, Jenny. It's a very powerful pull that you thought charity and you picked the charity card. This is the card of charity. And Kimberly says, and share our wisdom, says Jen. Yeah, absolutely. Kimberly says, have strength when we come together collectively. Yes. Yes. And when we come together collectively, that our collective unconscious, subconscious, that we pull on the positive aspects of that, so we can enlighten our pathway. You know, when you think about it in this strength card, and I know we've talked about it, but the ground is a little slippery. It's not smooth. You know, often you see some of the major arcana on very flat or grass, you know, in the temperance or the moon, although there's other things going on in that card. But here it's a little kind of wily, and you see these claws of the lion. And this is the card Leo, right? It's the sun sign Leo. But the tail is between the legs and there's submission happening. Yeah, we're submitting to a higher power. Wonderful. Superb. Now we're on to pull a card for Shelley. Now, Shelley, you let me know if you want a collective pull where we all pull cards for you, or if you just want me to pull a card. And if we're all pulling cards, we're going to find a way to bring all of the meanings together. And I really feel like that will enrich your reading. But it's up to you, you know. And Shelley, let me know if you want a general reading or you have a specific question. So I'm shuffling. Hope everyone else is shuffling. Spirit Seance happening December 31st, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Exactly the same time, but on a Thursday. And I think that'll be in the middle of my having a couple of weeks off. So what I decided to do, and I hope it's okay with everybody, but the Irish Wheelchair Association, the charity that we have special for this month, I'm going to carry it over to next month because I would like some more time to collect a little bit more money for them. And so that'll be the charity for the month of December. And December, is full of holidays. So on the 26th of December, I won't be going live on my Saturday, but I'll let everybody know. And I think the following one as well. So there'll be 2 weeks that I take off. But slap bam in the middle of those 2 weeks is the New Year's Eve Spirit Seance. So hopefully you'll all get to get a seat, $10 for participating, and we'll have a lot of fun that night. Okay, I'm just getting, here we go. I'm open. I do not have a specific question. You can go for a general and others can pull too. Oh, wonderful. So during our play shop, which was on November 14, which I'm also doing in March, we learned how to do the Celtic cross, right? Now, the Celtic cross has 2 sections to it. It has the central cross, right, which has the person in the middle with, with something covering them or a challenge. And then it has the consciousness, subconsciousness, past, and future. So this is kind of like a sophisticated past, present, future spread in that central part of the Celtic cross. And then to the right of the Celtic cross, you have, a stairway that goes up, and that stairway looks at you and your environment, what's going on in environment, your hopes and fears, and then like a general outcome card, right, or a future card. So what we'll do for you, Shelley, is we'll do the central part of the Celtic cross, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. So I'm going to pull 6 cards for you, Shelley. And because we don't have too many people who are lining up for a reading, we'll spend some time doing the Celtic cross with you. And if anyone else comes on, that's perfectly fine. But we're here to read, learn about the tarot, enjoy, have some fun. We're going to give away a reading at the end of the night. Woohoo! Shelley. So I'm going to spend a bit of time to connect in. We have central, 2, above, below, to the left, to the right. You have 3 major arcana cards, Shelley. So there's big, deep things happening. And so I only chose 6 cards, and 3 of them, half of those cards are major arcana. So I have to make a big deal about that. I have to say, wow, even though you are sort of nothing much is going on, you don't have any specific questions, you're clearly moving through a deep and meaningful part in your life. So, the archetypes are milestones. So the first one, which is representing you, is the Chariot. You. This is kind of the position, what covers you, or what kind of is you. We're talking generally, right? So you haven't asked anything, you haven't asked a question. So you can use the Celtic cross spread to answer a question. And the central card, or the first card, is the one that covers the person and is sort of about the question. But because you've just got in general, then we're going to read this one in general. So in general, you are pretty much set, ready to go, take on the world. Shelley, I know you a little bit. So I know that you're about to release your second book, or that you have a second book, a baby that you're putting out into the world, right? So it looks to me as if this baby's ready to go out into the world and you're with it. And so why do I say that? Because the Chariot, remember, is number 7. And I had mentioned it's the card before the Strength card, right? And so what happens when you're ready to go out into the world? You're super enthusiastic. You're open to opportunities. You're open to experience. And it's actually a really good position to be in. So, there's balance in your life. You understand spiritual law. You understand how you and your actions can manifest that which you want. So this is really a wonderful card and a fantastic place to be. You can see this very white area of your chest, which is just ablaze with light. So your heart is connecting to the divine, and you have the knowledge of the stars, all of the the canopy of stars above. You've got connection to the astrology. You've got the laughing and crying, Umim and Thumim, which are like the drama. Do you know the two faces, one laughing, one crying, for drama and comedy? So they're on each of your shoulders, which basically means that you're balanced and that you understand that there are between two happinesses is sadness, right? And that that there's ebbing and flowing in life. So this is a true sort of understanding of life. And then you're going to go out into the world and experience this. And I'm particularly attracted to the lingam and yoni, right? I'm attracted to this because it is a balance of the masculine and feminine in your life. And you really have that. This card is about balance. And the card that was covering this was the Nine of Coins. The Nine of Coins. And so what we've got in the Nine of Coins is we've got a woman who's got a lot of money. So she's clearly a very wealthy woman. She's got a falcon on her wrist, and she's in her gardens. You can see that her garden is a plush, and all these grapes are growing in her garden. So this is opulence and abundance in maximum. So if that's crossing in the Rider-Waite, if we have the Nine of Coins crossing the moving forward, then I would have to say that this is the challenge, that maybe money is a challenge. So I would ask you, is money a challenge at the moment? Do you feel that money is a challenge to your moving forward at the moment? Are you thinking about something in your life and thinking, well, I can't move forward because I don't have the cash at the moment? So that's a question for you, because the cards are saying that. And so Shelley says, not so much. So not really. So what can we say as a covering? What can we say about this woman? That what else am I getting from this woman that we can relate to the situation? Because this card is central to the reading, so we have to make it relate. We can't just leave it. We can't just say, well, she's saying, well, it's not about abundance, actually. I'm not worried about anything. So we have to go back to it, right? We have to go back to it. Editing the book more. Oh, so Shelley says, I'm waiting for one more reader. Editing the book more. So could this be about editing, right? This 9. So, this also, the number 9 we can also read, because you're telling me now, Shelley, the number 9 can read that you're almost finished, but you're not there yet, right? So there's still more work to do. Even though more traditionally the seven of coins or the 7 of pentacles tends to indicate that there's more work to do, I really feel like you're very, very close to the end, right? Because, so this ending is near. So you're not ready to move forward as yet, because the ending is near, but you're not quite there yet. Right? So that makes more, so close. You're so close, right? Because this is the number 9, and then 10 is the big explosion, right? Which is the full picture, the full kind of, yes, there's a family, there's a castle, and absolutely anything you could possibly imagine that a person would want in their life is present. So this is what you have. You're super, super, super close. All right. And what you're thinking, right, what you're consciously thinking is here. This is your book. This is the Page of Pentacles saying, here is this wonderful thing that I love, and it's so beautiful, and I'm in love with it, and I'm showing it to the world, and I'm thinking about showing it to the world, and I'm in beautiful plush grass. This is clearly, there's earth, and there's grass, and there's flowers, and there's the mountain, the Shiva mountain, there's trees growing. So this is an abundant picture, as all of the Pentacle suits cards are abundant. And as I mentioned, the Queen and the King are the most abundant. So they represent sort of extreme abundance. But here is the Page, and he's loving what he has in his hands, and there's adoration. And you're at the beginning with this book, right? We know that. And it looks like a cat on his head. It does. It does look like an animal, right? the way that cats would sit. They really go quite floppy when you have them in positions that they're not used to. So that one's your conscious thought. Now, if we look at the card underneath, we have the Tower. Now, what does the Tower represent? So we're going to speak about it in more detail, and we've talked about it before. So tonight we're going to talk about the Death card. But the Death card, the Devil, and the Tower are the hardest ones in the deck. Martha mentioned about the next steps of getting an agent. And Jenny says, I have both the King of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles in the cards I pulled. This is wonderful. So the fact that all the pentacles are showing up means that, there's abundance in the book that you've created. There's not only an abundance because you have the pentacles can represent real money. They can also represent, the sort of the fruit of your efforts, and to say that you've, Abraham Hicks calls this escrow, where clearly you're collecting energy and it's growing in momentum. And the fact that you have the King of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles means that you're amassing this kind of financial and energetic escrow that you can pull on once you decide to move forward. Martha mentioned the next steps of getting an agent too for the Pentacles, right? Because it's kind of the next thing to do. It's the next milestone that you're hitting, and the Pentacles can also indicate milestones, right? So we're now looking at the subconscious. So I've picked the two cards in the middle, right? These were in the middle. You're so close to moving forward, right? You and the book and how much you love it, and everyone will feel that. And this is underneath, right? And this is kind of like, this is like a foundational shake. Sometimes it can indicate, sometimes it can indicate fear, which is what I was going to mention, right? And so the Tower represents a spiritual awakening, okay? For me, when I see this lightning bolt coming from the sky, I think of the Tibetan dorje, right? And the dorje and the bell is a type of practice that the Tibetans have to awaken themselves to the truth of who they are. And I don't know too much about it, but I do know that the lightning bolt is in the dorje, which is the handheld instrument that they use along with the bell. And this crown that's popping off is your crown chakra opening up. So, so I would put it in the subconscious as underneath what's happening to you is an awakening of sorts, because where you are now with this new release and this about to move forward, you're in a very different place than you were, say, 10 years ago or however many years ago when you released your first book, right? Because this is the second one, although I don't want to limit you just to, I'm sure you have other publications, but I just in terms of when that one came out and right now, so much has changed. And I feel this is talking about an awakening. And it's like, is there, what is there that's, is there a fear of an awakening? So is there a fear in being out there and being struck, right? So we are being asked, because we've moved through this year, right, of 2020, where so much change hit us all at once in a short period of time, where we had to really change the way we did a lot of things normally, right? We've gone from one kind of normal to a different kind of normal, but we changed a lot in the meantime. And this is a big card of change. If much like the Death card, this is like change that happens outside of your control, right? And the fear of rejection too. So this is like when something is happening outside of your control, this is the card that you get, right? When change is coming from the outside in. And I would say that that's more of a fear than it is a reality, right? Because that sits in the subconscious. Yeah. And you just need to know that at any point, right, that spirit is right here with you, right here, because what you have are these yods. We forget that when we're fearing, change or significant, traumatic events, as would be this one, right? we forget that there's the support and love and what's necessary to move through it is always there for us. So this is not a predictive card. This is just sitting in the subconscious, because we've experienced failure. We've experienced things going awry without our control. We've experienced like life, because this is life. And so it can sit there as like a seed. So if I was to, I would want to know, so I'm going to pick a card around that, and I'm going to say, is this an energy that you can let go of, right? Can you let it go to the degree where it's not going to manifest, right? Because once we hold on to something, and actually before now, maybe you didn't even think about it. Maybe there was fear of rejection, or maybe there was fear of finding the right person, but maybe we didn't think about it to this degree, right? The Tower makes you think, oh my Lord, okay, I'm really thinking like that. But no, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it doesn't have. So is this something that's going to prevent you from moving forward? And I picked the first card off, and the Lover's card comes, and here is the Angel, right? So you have a choice. I feel this card is telling us that you have a choice to tap into that fear or not. And I would say to you, and I'm sure everybody would, as would you, is to not tap into the fear at all. And when the fear comes up, I would allow yourself to tap into your spirit guides, to tap into reframing the negative into a positive, and, having a life partner with you who can say, hey, you don't need to go down that pathway and think that way. You don't want to create that, right? Worrying is like praying for what you don't want. Right? And so what you want to do is you want to move down the path of where you do want to go. And so you say, I'm going to move down the path of looking at my choices and looking up to spirit for guidance. And I'm going to look for the bigger picture, because yes, all these little things can happen, but the bigger picture is that the book is going to be released into the world, and that's going to have its own life. And at some point I have to let my baby go. I can't hold on to the baby. It has to grow up. It has to do its own thing that it's come here to do, right? And so those two go together, and I'm really glad I chose another card. Interesting that it was also a major arcana card. So you're clearly learning a lot through this release of this book, right? The past tells us that there was celebration, right? So you've been celebrating, really, you've come to the end of, you've written the book, and you're really sort of celebrating and being celebrated for it. And then you're moving into judgment. So this is the awakening card. This is not the judgment of justice. So I spoke about justice card a couple of weeks ago, and the justice card is when you go into court and you're being judged, literally, right, in a binding way. Well, that happened, and now this is the consequence. So yes, it speaks to karma, but it also speaks to, well, how can we balance this out, right? How can we make good, or how can we be rewarded for the good things that we've done? So justice is really about balance. And when you think about it, you've got Lady Justice with her sword and her balance, her scales, right? She's Libra justice. And here it's very, very different, because what you have is freedom from the bind of justice. So I believe you're going from, here to here to here, which is release and freedom from any of these binding thoughts and any of the bind of, what do I have to do? Sometimes when we're about to do something, we're like, well, if I do that, that's going to happen, and that's going to happen, and actually here you're released. And this is like a 3-month, 1 to 3 month influence. And I feel like you're stepping into it almost right now. You're probably stepping into it today. Yes, being in love with your life and world. Was that here and here, right? Look at these two angels. They're both archangels. So you're being guided to release this, and you're being guided in your life at the moment. I think you need to know that you have many major arcana. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 that have come out already, right? And you also have this balance, the resurrection, absolutely. And you have everybody coming out of their coffins. But I feel this is celebration. This is celebration, the celebration of you finding this balance. And once you find that balance, then you're released and you're free from any kind of untoward. You're not going to worry about what people think about the book. You're not going to worry about rejection because it doesn't matter. You're free, right? This is a true release. And you see the twins here. There's there's the energy of twinning around you, and I think I got that maybe in the spirit seance. But there's the energy of twinning. You see these two X's, and it could be that the books are doing that. The books are like twins, maybe. There's something about that. And then there's a T here too, right? The T for twin. So, and there's something about balance. There's a lot of balance. And remember the Chariot, which talked about balance. I've actually never read the Judgment card as a balanced card, but it really is. There are two wings on either side, right? You've got the foreground balanced by the background. You've got three people in the foreground, three people in the background. I actually do feel you're going to be supported throughout the release of this book. There's going to be people who are helping you up front, right? Who you clearly see. And then there's people who are doing stuff for you that you don't even know or you find out about later. That's what I feel this card is speaking to. Do you get that sense? Other people do too, right? Anyone else get any? Kimberly, did you pick any cards for Shelley? Have we got any? I know the sixth card I pulled is 11, Justice with the scales. So the 6, isn't that fascinating? So we have, that was my sixth card. Let me pull it up, Jenny. So let us know what you think of that Justice card, Jen. We were literally just talking about the difference between the Justice and the Judgment card. Here she is. Lady Justice. Libra. And if I can just find out what the influence of the Judgment card is, let's have a look. Do I have the Minor Arcana here? Oh, here it is. It's the Phoenix Rising. Don't you love it? I mean, these wings look like, and they're red, they're inflamed. It's Pluto. Pluto, right? Death, struggle, resurrection. I mean, it speaks to the resurrection part of this. But, you will be, this will be a very different experience the next few months with this book compared to the last one. I think I'm definitely getting that. But when you have a look at her, I was talking about balance. You're finding the balance. That's why, interesting. Hi, Sarah. Did you pull some cards? Do you want to pull a card for Shelley? Sarah's learning how to read the tarot. Okay, so we've got, although I hope I'm not outing you, Sarah, you can let us know yourself. So you see, this is so there's a lot of balance in this card. You have the two columns, you have the sash, this little sash that goes around. You have, obviously there's something in each hand. You have the balance scale. You have the scale that's being used to balance, right? I mean, both of these are very heavy instruments. The sword made out of steel and just holding it up like that. So this is the effortlessness around karma and reaping what you sow. And I get that when I look at this card now, look at the way she's holding the scale. So can you see she's kind of holding it with one finger? And I keep thinking, well, this isn't really a heavy way. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of, karma that's being weighed up here in the balance. It feels very free. And so I would choose to see here where, she's holding this heavy thing, but she's capable of holding it. And she's holding these scales in a very kind of strange, light way. There's a lightness of being that I'm seeing in the Justice card as I look at it now. We did this wonderful exercise in the play shop And Jennifer, if you would like to let people know your experience of doing this exercise, that would be awesome. Or anyone. I think Jennifer, you were on. And Kimberly, I'm not sure that you were there for this exercise, but if you were, let me know. We had a exercise where we looked at one card, which was the Sun card. And then I had everybody fill themselves full of one kind of emotion, which was happy emotion. Right? So we thought of a happy memory and we brought that to the forefront of our being, and we sensed and felt happy. And then we looked at the card and we read the card in that happy state. And everybody got a turn to sort of say what they saw and felt. And then we kind of wiped the slate clean, went back into the card, went into a meditation, and we called on a negative memory, like a not so happy memory. Or we may have done this the other way. We may have started with like an argument, or we were thinking of an argument that we'd had with somebody, and we pulled up the feeling of negative emotion, like not feeling so happy about something. And then we read the Sun card, and the Sun card is such a happy card. Let me pull it up. It's such a happy card. Like, who on earth would ever imagine that you could read the Sun card in any way but positive? But here we were. Here we were, having pulled up a negative sort of emotion and thinking of an awful memory of arguing with somebody. And then we had a look at the Sun card, and then suddenly, the sun was looking stern, or a little kind of fiery. And, this baby that is, naked, and not holding onto this horse, like at any moment it could just fall over. I mean, it's holding onto a flagpole, but it could literally just slip off any minute. Suddenly there's danger in the Sun card. Who would have thought that there was negative emotion and danger in the Sun card? Well, you don't, because it's the way that you read the card depends really on the information and the feeling state that's coming through to you. And when you're feeling and sensing something, you will see something different in the card. And that for me was an experience. I'm not sure if Jen's still with us. She's out and about. But what I wanted to say was, when we look at the Justice card, usually we see someone who's quite stern, and it's about judgment, and it's about this is what done and this is the consequence. And it's all very sort of laid out, and it represents the law, and it represents connecting, of course, with the divine laws, but also understanding that there needs to be a balance, that once we come into the world and we're walking through life and we're moving through life, that we're balancing our actions out with, we're looking at the fruits of our labors, and we're wanting to kind of reap these rewards, and we're wondering why they're not there. So Jenny pulled the Justice card with the scales, and I kept looking at how lightly these scales are being looked at. So I feel that there's a lightness of being here. It feels like there really isn't any judgment around this. Then you want to remember the Lover's card, and you want to remember your enlightenment, right? And you want to remember how to lift yourself up above the kind of noise, right? And to bring yourself into understanding, well, this is the release of something beautiful that I've made for the universe. Very long way to explain just a couple of cards. A little infomercial, georgiamarantos.com. If you want a reading with me, I am available for 30-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute readings. The longer the reading is, the more likely it is that we're going to dive deep into sort of our fears and the sort of things that create resistance around what we want to manifest, because sometimes we need to and other times we don't. But if you know that you have something that you're working on, then you can always book in for a longer reading, right? So we do some guided meditation, some neuro-linguistic programming, and you can find out more about that on my website. And I'm going to plug the Spirit Seance once more, December 31st at 6 p.m. on Thursday night, New Year's Eve. It'll be one show in between a couple of no shows, where there'll be 2 Saturdays in December where I'm at the end of December, and the first in January, where I won't be on. I'll be taking 2 weeks off to be with my family, but there will be a spirit seance on New Year's Eve, so that's super special, and I'm very excited. And it's limited to 10 people, and there's 8 seats left, so grab them before other people do. And what we'll do on the night is we'll do a guided meditation, and we'll all go into connecting with spirit, right? So that when we are giving messages to each other, I'm going to bring on a few guests, 2 guests, and they'll be facilitating the messages for all of us in the group. But what I'd like to do is to have everyone who's participating as a sort of receiver to also be connecting to spirit and see if they can bring up messages for everybody. So this will also be a kind of, tuning into your own inner senses and bringing through information from your guides and spirit. So I'm really hoping. Rebecca, hello. Hi, Rebecca. How are you? How was your Thanksgiving? How was everybody's Thanksgiving? This is kind of like the middle of the weekend. I hope everybody's had a relaxing time. I know we haven't been able to have big gatherings, and I was with my family, and we normally have friends over. And it was a very different Thanksgiving because, I wasn't preparing and I didn't feel like cooking. And so we got takeout. We got takeout from a restaurant that was making a Thanksgiving menu. And then we all shared, we shared just this one big price fix menu. Rebecca, yeah, I missed you too. Was it 2 years ago when we tried to fry a turkey in the apartment next door? Irina, hello. Irina, if you're choosing cards, let me know. I can't remember if it was a success or not, but it's very funny, and I feel like we'll always remember the fried turkey from the apartment next door. Actually, what happened was we decided to fry the turkey in the next door apartment. And I'm sorry if you're vegan or you don't want, or if you don't eat meat. Forgive me, but we were eating meat. We were eating turkey on this Halloween, and we were frying it. We were frying it next door, and we had the power cord coming into our apartment because the apartment next door is empty, and we were using the power from our apartment to power the fryer. And what happened was the superintendent or somebody came up and disconnected the power. Isn't that right? And so for a whole hour when we thought the turkey was frying, it wasn't at all. And so by the time, the allotted time where we thought we'd have our turkey ready, it wasn't ready. I don't remember what we did. Did we just eat anything else? Oh, it was so much fun. So, I know lots of people who normally spend time with their family and friends, didn't get to, and I know we didn't, Rebecca. We would have been. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving, everybody. So time to talk about the death card, and maybe we can all, if there's no other questions, we can, very good memories. Let's bring the death card up. Let's demystify death, shall we? Now, they say, the Tibetans believe, and Tibetans know a lot, they only came out of sort of seclusion in the 1950s, which is 70 years ago, when they were being chased out, murdered, basically, by the Chinese. I don't know much about the politics, so I really shouldn't sound like I confidently know about any of it. But here we go. Here's a picture of Shiva, just to enjoy. Om Shiva Namaha. So the death card, let's demystify death and dying for all of us who are afraid of it. I know I am. And my desire is to eradicate that suffering in my own life, and I pray it for the whole world, and I know everybody here does too. I'm trying to find the death card in this book. I'm having difficulty because it's number 13. 13, what a lucky number. Here we go, death. So death is the number 13 trump. I love that these are called trumps, because they used to be playing cards. You know, the tarot originated in probably Italy in the 1400s, and these were very fancy playing cards that were made by hand. These were painted by hand, and these archetypes came up. And over the years, the French made them into playing cards once the printing presses came out in the 1700s. And then at the turn of the 19th, 20th century, Arthur Waite and Pamela Smith created this deck. But the death card, you know, has always had, you know, the Grim Reaper, and here clearly is a skeleton in a black sort of knight outfit, black, you know, signifying, you know, where all the colors go to disappear, much the same white, you know. So the white is where all the colors appear from, because when you refract light, you get the rainbow. And all of the colors combined create a black. I mean, they really do. If you have ever painted and used your palette and kind of put your palette together, it creates a very dark grayish color, which is like a black and white. So all the colors go into this and disappear, and they become this one black mob. So there's a sense that something is disappearing here because of this color black, but is also appearing. So you've got the appearing and the disappearing, which is transformation. So I remember when my children were very young, and they used to draw things and create things, and they would draw these exquisite drawings. And I remember looking at them, and they would take that drawing and then they would just like scribble all over it. And I was so attached to what they had drawn. And there was this sense that we are so attached. I was so attached to what they had created that I couldn't let it go. But what they would do was that they would just go to the next page and create something beautiful again. And so that there was this sense of they were not attached to what they were creating. Therefore, they were free to continue to create. And so there's a freedom that comes from letting go. And that's what the death card is about. The death is really about letting go of that which you really shouldn't hold on to, because creation requires deconstruction and death. It requires some kind of transformation, because from nothing to go to something, nothing leaves. You know, there is inherent in this process of creation is death, right? And that's why this card is not as bleak as some of the other cards, because you have the white and the black, which are almost in harmony. And then you have this colorful landscape. So this landscape and the people around are basically the classic figures of the plague. And I know I've talked about this before. So there's someone who's lying asleep with a blanket over them. They're dead. They're dead and gone. Here is a child who's playing with a toy, or maybe this is a trumpet that's fallen to the ground. Maybe there was a call. The angel had called from above and said, you know, danger is coming. But this is the scene of the plague. People are sick and they're dying, and the rosy cheeks, some kind of illness. And here is the priest or the bishop who's highly adorned. So the fact that he's begging for his life as the death strolls in very casually, right, and takes no prisoners. Everybody is going to die. Everything, it has to die, meets a certain death, right? And that is certain in a longitudinal sense, but also in like an everyday sense, where we experience little deaths every day in the changes, right? Our body's changing, our cells are changing. You think about the way that the nature creates, nature goes through its cycles, that nature effortlessly, I want to get out of the way here, nature effortlessly dies, different species of animals, there's a food chain. They eat each other. We eat each other. We eat other animals. So that there's this understanding that we're part of the bigger picture, which is nature, where there is constant change, and there is no choosing one person over another because of their stature or the amount of money they have or the amount of gold that is adorned on them, because death doesn't see rich or poor. It's separate to all of that. That's why there's black and white. It's either alive or it's dead. And what you have on the horizon, right? So you have a ship coming in, which is some kind of news. And sometimes this death card combined with other cards that have ships coming in and the horse can indicate some kind of movement. Because even though death is an ending, it's also a process. So when the death card arrives, it's a major arcana, and it means that there's movement happening, and it's happening at a slower rate, and it's the energy of it is happening over a certain period of time. Tends to happen over months to years as opposed to just days or weeks. I want to tap into Scorpio. So the Scorpio is the astrological sign that's attached to death, and Scorpio signs, the Scorpio kills so viciously and so accurately through its sting. So if you think about the scorpion, and also let me show you the feather on the skeleton's night. So this is the feather of Maat, and M-A-A-T, and we see this in the Fool card. Let me show you what it looks like in the Fool card. Now the Fool card is the 0 point, which is that zero point consciousness, which is complete union with that which we all are. Hi, Louise. Hello. If anybody has a question, we'll just pop on over to you. Let me know if you've, I was wondering if Maria had sent some money in, and I thought maybe she'd make it tonight. So I'm looking for the Fool card. Now, the reason I'm talking about the Fool card is because the Fool has a feather of Maat in his. There he is. See the feather of Maat? And Maat is the god. Here we go. Skeleton. Feather of Maat, which is the Egyptian god of truth. The Egyptian god of truth and justice. So truth. In the Fool card, it definitely means truth. But what's happened here? What's happened to the feather here in the death card? It's kind of withered, right? So the truth has had its effect, and there's change. And the other most important part of this card is obviously the flower, the adorned flower, which just looks like a big sort of rose, a white rose, indicating purity, divinity. And the two pillars in the back. I mean, there is more to the number 13, which I can talk about in a minute. But see these two pillars, and they're both single windowed. So unless thine eye is made single, you cannot access the heavens. This is a passage from the Bible. And you see this big crown, and it looks like it's the rising sun. So this devastation that's happened has happened, on another day. And as the rising sun through those two towers gives hope that even though there's an ending, after every ending, there's a new beginning. And that's the beauty of the death card, that the endings are necessary for these new beginnings, and that we shouldn't really grieve the endings, because the new beginnings are also, they're so sweet. And if we knew, like the Tibetans who spend, at least in the I'm not, I don't know a lot about the Tibetan religion, the Buddhist religion, but they think about death and they contemplate their own death. And in fact, they live their life wanting to achieve a good death, to have, a life in the next life that's free from suffering, and doing good deeds and chanting mantras that benefit oneself and the world, and doing spiritual work on oneself to enlighten oneself, enlightens oneself and the world around them through that ripple effect. That this is an enlightened way to think about death, as opposed to being in fear and drama around the loss of death. It's quite profound, tapping into the energy there. So let's have a look at death with cards. How would we read death? Does anyone have a question? I'm just going to put up the link to New Year's Eve's Spirit Seance. Oh, I hope I haven't lost you all. I did this once before. Oh, no, I haven't. Good. So you can all see me. Whilst we have this beautiful lull. Here we go. So this is the link to the Spirit Seance that's happening New Year's Eve. $10. You'll get a Zoom link that you can download the information once you pay for it. So join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. Louise has a wonderful question. When will COVID masks go away? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the two. I think it's a great question. So we're going to ask, when will COVID go away and when will masks go away? Because maybe those two will take their time. Maybe the two won't go away together, or maybe they will, right? So let's have a look. Woohoo! Charlie Girl says, I signed up. Yay! Wonderful. Thanks, Charlie. I'm super happy to hear it. And Shelley, thank you. And you'll sign up. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I know we were able to read for you in Halloween, and that would be awesome. Okay. I look forward to it so much. Here we go. We are going to pull a card for when will COVID go away? A big LOL at the end of it. Why not? These are great questions. Let's entertain it all. Now, when I do timing, I'm going to pick a one card. So in this one card, I'm going to see, is it a minor arcana or a major arcana? What kind of timing does it give us? And I've explained it in other videos, so I won't explain it right now. So when will COVID go away? Two cards. So it's this one and this one. So because this one came out first, and there's one, I have to say that this is like, okay, now the cups indicate months to years, right? No, the cups indicate months. The Page of Pentacles is one, but again, these are suit cards, so I have to think that there's more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull cards now to get specific. So I'm going to say, so it's months. So let's go in 6 months, 6 monthly allotments. Will it go away in 6 months? Will it go COVID, right? Will it COVID go away in 12 months? I got 12 months. 6 months, 12 months. If I get an ace, I stop. 12 months. Please make it say tomorrow. I can't. Tomorrow. But what we all have to do is take our masks off and play a little more, right? And have more fun and share. See, everybody's stick is exactly the same length. I'm just going to hide behind here because the Five of Wands is one of my favorite cards. I never really quite understood it. But, these guys look like they're having fun. This was the 6-month mark. I think things are still kind of shaking up. There is movement, though. There's movement. So in 6 months, stuff is happening. These vaccines are coming out, and that will be rolled out en masse, and there'll be a lot of sort of, there's a lot of movement around that, right? There's a lot of yeses, nos, and maybes, and does it work? Does it not work? Do we have to? Do we not have to? So there's a lot of like fuss. This is a fussy card at 6 months, but in 1 year, I get a lot of clarity. There's so much clarity. Yeah. We need more joy and so much more love. There seems to be an outpouring. By the end of next year, will we have so much more understanding and clarity? Yes, because the vaccine will be rolled out. And there are countries that won't allow you, if you want to get into their country, yes, you can have the vaccine, or you can quarantine at your own expense in this expensive hotel, like the sort of thing that's happening in Australia. So all of that's going to create there's a lot of movement in the water around that. And that's going to happen at every port, at every country, right? And I think that's this year. This year's going to be rolling this kind of stuff out. But in a year, it looks going to be a lot of clarity. And, the sky is clear. There's divine yods falling down into the lotus pond. So COVID goes away in a year. Let's do one for the masks. Will the masks ever go away? Just one. So, will the masks ever go away? So we're looking at when will the masks go away? Let me just pull one I'm very, very specific. If I touch a card with a question, even though it wasn't the question I wanted to ask, I have to read. So for me, when will the masks ever go away? This is a no to me. But when will the masks go away is a different question. I'll pull another, that's right. When will the masks go away? All right, this is a 2. So let's do 6 months. 6, 12, 18. I think between 18 and 2 years. Look at that. This is 18, that's 2. There's a lot of freedom in that card. Both of these are very positive cards. And even by 12 months, I didn't get an ace, which would be really wonderful to get, but I got 2 cards which are really, really clear, right? 2 years. Maybe we just walk around. There's like a lot of paranoia that sort of, what's that word? Distrust that's left over that has to be kind of swept up with, people understanding, oh, okay, now, I don't have to force everybody to do X, Y, Z to get just the regular job done, right? Because now there's, you can't enter a store unless you have a mask, or you can't do X, Y, Z unless you have a mask. And there are people that say, okay, no trouble. And others that are like, no, okay, that's not okay. And so wherever you lie on the spectrum of mask or no mask, the fact is it's here and it's with us and we're dealing with it. And the judgment and the world are like very free cards. I mean, look at this. Maybe we're completely free from all of that heavy have to energy. And that's at that after the first year. Isn't that good news? That's good news. So maybe you were right, Louise. Maybe they do go away together. Yeah, absolutely. So, you have, that's why we have choices, right? And we have everybody who's, we're all doing the best that we can. I posted a picture of our cat. So I've been making these masks for the children. In fact, I had bought a pattern for a mask earlier on in the year. And we have my husband who goes to work in the hospital, and he's in contact with people who have COVID all the time. And so we wear masks in the family. And so I made this mask with the sewing machine, and the mask was meant to be for a child, but it ended up so small that it would only fit our cat. Which is why I put it on our cat as a photo to advertise the show tonight. I don't know if you've seen that on Instagram, but that was my cat wearing the child's mask that I made for our children that only fit Leela. It was a very, very specific. Leela has her own mask. But yeah, this is good news. Thank you, Louise, for that question, because this is such good news. Such good news. The freedom, some of these freedoms to come back into our lives, because there has been so much restriction for such a long time. One more card just for all of us, right? Just one more card for, one more card, and the card. One more card, and this is the card that I chose, for us and for COVID and for everything that we're going through, just to respect each one of us that's on our journey for spiritual enlightenment, for inner enlightenment, to tap into our inner knowledge and our inner guru. And the Hermit is that. So the Hermit is at the top of the mountain, and the Hermit has done all the hard work. The Hermit has reached inside to understanding and connected with the inner guru and connected with the inner light, and is bearing the markings of the wisdom of his achievements. And so we can say that through this period, this COVID, this 2020, and everything that everyone is going through, and the change, the transformation, the death card, right? How we're dealing with it, how we're coping with it, how we're going into ourselves to, find that strength. And interesting, we chose the card Strength earlier, right? So everybody is basically the Hermit. Not only have we gone in because we needed to lock down, but we've gone in because we've needed to tap into our inner resources and tap into our inner knowing and inner understanding. But the Hermit represents us. And I feel like we can't lose sight of the fact that we're here to find our inner light and then to shine that light for others, and hold the staff that is a magical staff, and brings down the sort of sacred knowledge and sacred energy into the ground. And our job is to ground this energy once we're open to it. And I feel that, COVID's job has been to crack us open to what really matters, which is our connection to the divine, as above, so below, in this Star of David. Everybody, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Shelley, and thank you to you all who have asked questions. And 30% of all the proceeds, as you know, goes to the Irish Wheelchair Association. And we are going to continue into next month, sending 30% of all proceeds to the Irish Wheelchair Association. Thank you for a wonderful group. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for all the sharing. And I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody. Have a great night.